Hey there, welcome back to my channel. So today I have the not long awaited, the short awaited, promised part 2 of my top 10 summer fragrances. I mentioned in that video, if you haven't checked it out, I will link it below. I mentioned that I was really into summery, beachy fragrances, which is kind of funny because I live in Canada and it's not like, I don't know, I live in the Caribbean or like in the Caribbean where I can just, or somewhere tropical where that's the kind of fragrances I should gravitate towards. But I've always been that way. I obviously like everything under the sun. You guys know there's no way I would have like hundreds of fragrances if I didn't. But I'm just partial to a summery vibe, and I feel like I thrive in the spring and summer. I love to travel in the spring and summer, and I love spring summer scents. Like like if there's stores that are very seasonal, like Bath and Body Works, I am a total spring and summer person. I hate fall, like I'm not into pumpkin, like I don't like winter. But anyways, all that to say is I could not bear to just leave it at those 10 fragrances because there's so many that I like. There's probably even more than this, but at that point, like it's not even a top. So I asked if you guys were interested in a top 10 part 2, and you guys said yes, which is great. So here I am. Without further ado, I don't want to extend this any further. Let's get started. Let's get into it. If you haven't subscribed already, don't forget to subscribe, and we're gonna start with a favorite of mine. As if they're not all favorites, but I can't believe I didn't mention this in part 1. Sun by Jil Sander. You guys, if you've been with me for a while, I feel like you can already guess exactly what I'm gonna say, because I say the same thing about this fragrance every time. But I mean, if the shoe fits, actually I'm just seeing other summer fragrances that I should have. Ooh, whatever. I love this. I love this fragrance. I always say that it's not a beachy fragrance, it's a pool fragrance. And those of you who get it, that we're on the same page, you get it. But if you don't, it's like very hard to explain. Sorry. I had a lot of matcha today and I feel like I'm just overexcited, but it's a pool fragrance. Like, it doesn't smell beachy, but it's extremely summery, obviously with this kind of name, but it's a very European take on like a pool fragrance. And that's what I always say, but that's the truth. It's very unique. I can see people, especially like a North American market, being not as inclined or not as used to this kind of scent, and being kind of thrown by it, because it is also very strong, which I love. And I've mentioned before, in the summertime, scents do not last on me. Like, they just get so reduced in terms of performance and sillage and all that stuff. I mean, it's kind of humid, so that doesn't help things. I usually get a lot of color in the summertime just because even with sunscreen, like I have an olive skin tone, and that I've heard that kind of affects things. And this, she powers through. There is no messing around with Sun by Jil Sander. So I love it. It's an eau de toilette, but in terms of like performance, I feel like it outperforms almost all of my eau de toilettes, and it's very much like an eau de parfum level. So love that one, super recommend. Jil Sander is a love of mine. Then we will move along to a long loved favorite of mine. I had to include her, Miami Glow by J.Lo. I mean, she's for me a classic, one of the best celebrity fragrances of all time. For a while there, it was hard to find in like an extortionate price. This is my, God knows however many bottles of this I've used, and I already have a backup. That's why I'm not getting any more. I'm not in the backup game, but she's a beauty. She reminds me of Cabo because that's where I first took her, but I've worn that scent 1,000,001 times. This is a beachy fragrance. It's a really nice beachy fragrance. It's like juicy and fruity, but beachy. It's even kind of clean in a way. Like, I feel like it has a freshness to it that isn't with citrus. I love it. again, really performs pretty well. And I maintain it's like one of the best celebrity fragrances I've ever smelled and probably will ever smell. JLo did a great job with that one. Then we get to Aqua Liguria's Teazzura by Guerlain. This I love. I love because I find it cuts through heat like no other. It's very tart. It almost starts to scratch my throat a little bit because of how, like, I don't know, something in it has like an element of like, it just cuts through, and I love it. I have heard from my cousin that she thought it smelled like hairspray. She's wrong. But after she said that, I noticed some of you in the comments said the same thing, that it like gave you hairspray vibes. And the only reason I'm mentioning it is just in case you're that kind of person and I mean, scent is objective, but if you're like, oh, why would she recommend this? Maybe try it out. Maybe don't blind buy this one. I blind buy everything, and to me, it doesn't smell like hairspray at all. But obviously it's more common than I thought because it wasn't just my cousin. So I love it. One of the things I love about summery scents is a good one that can cut through heat, because I don't want to go a single day without fragrance, but there are those days where like the last thing you want is anything cloying or musky or rich. Like I want to smell like something every day, but when it gets too hot or too humid, the selection gets smaller and smaller, and Teazzura I can always count on. Like, that's never going to make me feel overwhelmed in any temperature. So I love that. Then the kind of queen of beachy fragrances, my first ever beachy fragrance love, Beach by Bobbi Brown. I had to include this. In part one, I talked about Fire Island by Bond No. 9, which is kind of my go-to now that I've owned it, and it has made Beach kind of fall to the wayside, but I still love this one. And I mentioned before, like, there were so many years where I would like douse myself in this at like Sephora or a department store every time I was in there, and I'm like, oh, one day I'm gonna get you. And I don't know why, sometimes I get in that mindset with fragrances that I love, I won't buy it, and then I'll buy like 10 fragrances I barely even heard about. So this was a long time like that kind of love for me, and then I got it, and then I got Fire Island, and now I forgot it. So go figure, but I really do like this. If you are a beachy fragrance person, a copper tone sunscreen person, this is your vibe. If you're not, however, if you're hesitant about a beachy fragrance or copper tone fragrance, I mean, I think it's obvious, don't go for this, but I know people that have like an aversion to sunscreeny scents. And I feel like you're very 0 or 100. You either adore them or you hate them for the most part. If you hate them, if you're even apprehensive about them, this is not your go-to. If you love them though, I mean, this is a classic. Like, it was one, if not the first one, where I was like, I have always adored the copper tone sunscreen scent, and now I get to wear it year round because I don't want to just cover myself in sunscreen head to toe to smell like this year round. Now you don't have to, because you have Bobbi Brown's Beach. And then number 5, I debated including this, but it is the truth, even though it's like impossible to find. It might come around again. Butter Paradise by Physicians Formula. I'm already halfway through it because for a while I was nursing it, and I don't want to be that way. I adore this. Like, Physicians Formula Butter Collection, I think, is spectacular. It's one of the best collections to come out of the drugstore ever, I would say. Like, I adore all their butter products. I'm always tempted to get every single thing they come out with, and I've been good of not getting everything. But one of the things I loved about their face products, other than the fact of how they perform, was the scent. And I think a lot of people were the same. And so when they came out with this limited edition eau de toilette of the Butter Paradise and the lotion as well, it was so hard to find, especially in Canada. It was a lot easier in the States. And I got 2 of them. Like, I literally bought 2 fragrances just to be sure. And I'm already halfway through one. You can't really get them anymore. They might still come around. Maybe you can get them in the States, but because they've created it, I feel like there is a possibility that it'll come around again at some point, and I think they should. Like, Physicians Formula, if you're listening, which I know you're not, this is an incredible scent, and it holds its own across so many of my other summery scents. Like, I will go to Better Paradise because I think it's beautiful, and I love that scent. All right, so the next one is the scent I'm actually wearing today. Oh my God. Again, I feel like I'm gonna say the same thing a million times over, but Ideal Cologne by Guerlain. You guys, I didn't realize I had 2 Guerlains in this, but it's just the truth. To be honest, I wear this year round all the time. It has that quality that I've mentioned before that I need to like come up for a name for, but it has that quality to it where if I wear it one day, I want to wear it the next day and the next day and the next day. I guess it's like signature scent worthy in my book, even though it's not my signature scent, but I love this. I've heard again, it was discontinued. There's like a million versions of this or flankers, but this one is the one, the Ideal Cologne is the one I'm talking about. I've already put a good dent in this. Like for me, that's a substantial dent. I'd stopped wearing it for a while because I was like, oh, I'm gonna finish it. And I don't know why I still get that way in my head. Like, you've got too much. This is many lifetimes worth of fragrance that I've got, and it's my hobby, and it's, you know, what I do for you guys. So I can't be that way, and I'm not. I douse myself in this. It is so stunning, of like this citrusy, almond, fresh, completely unisex, by the way. Don't let Ideal Cologne fool you. It's incredibly unisex. It is one of my favorite fragrances of all time from Guerlain, and that is saying a lot because they have so many fragrances and they're obviously a classic house, but I love that one. Then I have heard from a couple of you, either in DMs or in comments, to give you like recommendations for if you live somewhere super hot and humid and you want like a summery fragrance that lasts, that isn't just like the fresh ones that cut through heat but that kind of fade away. If that is your question, you want a summery fragrance but you want it to perform like a fall winter fragrance, my goodness, North Bondi by OUAI. I was not expecting this to perform as well as it does. It is so strong, and it's the reason why I'm kind of like getting over it. But this is another case of where I liked the scent of a product, the way dry shampoo and a number of their products have this scent, and then a number of their products have like this more rosy scent. But I really liked this one. I love all the OUAI fragrances in their products, and I love a lot of their products as well. But when I saw that they had North Bondi and it was the same scent as that dry shampoo, like the foam dry shampoo, I was like, this is perfect. Like, I would use that dry shampoo just so I would smell like it when I didn't even need it. And then I got this, and it is so strong, you guys. And I'm usually all for it, but sometimes you gotta be careful. Like, this can choke you out. Even though it's a summery fragrance, it's a really nice white floral, it's sweet, it's summery, it's very feminine. It's not the type to cut through heat though. So you gotta want something strong, maybe for like a summer night where it's not super, super hot. It's cooled down a little bit, but you wanna party till the morning and you want your scent to last. That is your go-to. Then again, I debated including the next two, but I just want to be honest with you guys, even if they're hard to find, these are my favorite and you might be able to find them. I've mentioned this before, it's surprising, but Togetherness by Hollister is my favorite Hollister fragrance of all time. It's supposed to be unisex, hence the name Togetherness. It's just supposed to be pretty unisex, and it is. It's a very clean, summery fragrance. It's got like driftwood and stuff, and I love it. You can find it, like I've seen before, we don't have Mercari in Canada, but I've seen before from you guys that like people are reselling it. I would get it. Like, I think it's great. Sometimes, again, Hollister might bring back fragrances if they do. Togetherness, incredible. I wear it all the time. You can't see through, but based on like when I move it around and everything, I think I'm like halfway through this already. Then the other one, which again I debated including, but I bought this on my travels in Porto in Portugal. And this is Agua de Colonia Antigua by Arbrido. I love European eau de colognes. This is no exception. I love how this one's kind of slightly like bitter herbaceous. Like it's obviously citrusy and it's got a brightness, and a lot of them have like a mixture of citrus, and that's kind of the European eau de cologne vibe. But this has a bitterness which doesn't sound like it would be appealing, but it is. Like I love this one, and it really does smell like of another time, I suppose, but not dated in the way where you feel like you can't wear it. Like it just smells like a classic. It really does. And I mean, I absolutely love this fragrance. I think it's so like, it's got like thyme in it. So it's really nice how it's like herbal and thyme and bergamot, and it's like zesty, but I really do like it. If you ever find it online or when you're traveling, I would pick it up. It was super inexpensive as well, like under, I think it was like around 15 euros or something. Very, very inexpensive. And then finally, the last one by MAC, Turquatic. This is my second bottle of this. I've mentioned before, I love this scent. It is like, even when I got completely over my aquatic type fragrance phase that I think a lot of girls went through in like the late 90s, early aughts, Turquatic stuck around. There's just something about it that is nice. It never gets murky. It's, you know, it's summery, but it's not beachy. It's not extremely citrusy, but it's not very green. Like there is just something really, really nice about it. And I've tried a lot of MAC fragrances, and I've owned 2, but I've tried a whole bunch. And this is, and probably forever will be, my favorite MAC fragrance. For a while it was, when I was younger, it was limited edition, but now they always have it. So I'm a huge fangirl of Turquatic. I will forever be on the Turquatic bandwagon and fan club. So yeah, love that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this part 2 of my top 10 summery spring fragrances. I adore them. I hope it's helpful for you guys. As always, don't forget to let me know in the comments below your picks, which ones are your favorites, if you've tried any of these. I love to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.